All right, next is Ron Acuna the third, Atlanta's finest, and who would win? Good afternoon, Conan Disco and Mr. Feeney. Just want to clarify for Disco, I'm not related to Ronald Acuna on the Braves, even though I'm from Atlanta. He does have a son named Ronald Acuna the third, but he's 4. I will say the Venezuelan community is tight knit in Atlanta, so I know Ronald and his beautiful wife Maria very well. That's cool. We get together 8 to 10 times a year in Atlanta, as well as in LaGuardia, and he's a great guy and truly one of my pana de almas. What does that mean, Conan?
Like a partner, soul partner, you know.
Right. Cool. I did want to let you know the Braves aren't America's team. They're Latin America's team. Look at how much he's loved, even in a place like Colorado, where fans rush the field just to give him a hug. In this area, the Yankees, Dodgers, or Orioles are America's team. Let's suspend this guy, Ron Acuna, for this. Come on. You're not old enough to understand the Braves are the original America's team. They're on the Superstation. The moniker's never lost. My wrestling question is an easy one. In a world of what ifs, I'm going to ask you with the ultimate what ifs. Who will win the following fights in the primes, in your opinion, and being around these guys? Brock versus Haku. Brock, because Brock is a UFC fighter. Haku, just because he knows more martial arts skills. But in a street fight, I don't know, where there's no rules. Yeah, if there's okay, let's say there's no rules. Let's say no rules.
Yeah, if it's a street fight, I go Haku. Because I've seen him in 2, and it was vicious.
Yeah, Angle versus Dr. Death.
Street fight?
Street fight.
That would be a good one. That would be a really good one.
Angle. I'd say Angle.
Really?
I don't know. But, these are tough ones actually. Punk versus Riddle.
I think Dr. Death comes from the era where he was probably in some bar fights. Angle doesn't really.
He was trying to take guy's eye out or something, right? He was one of those
Dr. Death was also a pretty accomplished amateur wrestler. Nah, he wasn't a gold medalist.
Right. But this is a street fight where anything goes. I'm going to go nothing against Angle because I think he could beat just about anybody in his prime, but I'm going to go with Dr. Death on this one.
Punk versus Riddle. Oh my God, that's easy. Goldberg versus Batista.
Not even a question.
Yeah. Goldberg. Nash versus Lashley. I'd probably say Lashley because Nash's knees, maybe like now, of course, Lashley. Booker T versus Jericho. I don't know, but Jericho told me one time that remember when he got into Jericho's the most. He's got that. His dad taught him fearlessness, which is a very respectable characteristic. Because his dad fought a lot of guys that he's probably scared to fight, but fought him anyway, like Dave Schultz and stuff. So, but bro, Jericho didn't back down from Brock, and I think he probably would have bit him in the nose if something would have happened. Jericho would fight, he'd fight to the finish. Joe versus Billy Body. I already said that I think Billy Body would win that because Billy was more physically fit than Joe.
I think physically fit doesn't make you tough. I think that it would be kind of like a kid's pool fight. Like when you're in the pool and you're just kicking like that. It would be something like that.
You got to remember, Di, though. I'm from the mean streets of Philadelphia, and Billy's from England. So just saying.
England's the capital of hooliganism, where gangs of people just show up and see the other gang of people just start throwing down.
I'll take out my Irish anger on him for the English stealing our land and starving us.
I didn't know you were from Ireland.
I'm Irish enough.
Just the skin.
What's the next one?
Hang on, I'm trying to navigate my. Screwing this up.
Oh, that was the last one. So he says best podcast in the world. Ron Acuna III from Atlanta. P.S. Joe, is Rube Waddell your favorite Phillies Hall of Famer of all time? Craziest man in baseball history. That's a little bit beyond me, being that he passed away in 1914.
The next one is from.
So you can't read about him. This guy.
I'm looking at it now. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the documentaries by Ken Burns, Disco?
Yeah. Ken. Wait, who's Ken? Why does that name sound familiar? Ken Burns.
Ken Burns is baseball.
Ken Burns. He does those documentaries like on baseball. Right. Yeah, baseball, the Civil War, which was really good. He did one on the Roosevelts, which was great. And so he was talking. I had heard of him, but I didn't know he was crazy. So this guy, Rube Waddell, is that his name? Rube Waddell?
Waddell, yeah, or I would say Waddell, yeah.
Right. So this guy was like in the early 1900s. You know what I'm saying? But he was an incredible pitcher. But he was really crazy. They thought he had like ADD or something, or he was like, what do they call mental? Do you have to edit that?
Yeah, probably.
Mentally challenged.
Mentally challenged, yeah.
Yeah,
or
mentally
on the
challenged.
spectrum, maybe.
Right. He had a lot of wives at the same time, and like a couple times during like games, he would just walk off and leave. And one time they like found the guy in a circus. Just really wild character.
Next one's from Leslie Sincere.
Listen to this. Yeah, this will just be a minute, but I want you to hear about this guy. So it says Waddell's pitching repertoire usually consisted of two pitches, one of the fastest fastballs and a hard curve. Waddell enjoyed waving his teammates off the field and then striking out the side. He actually did so only in exhibition games since official baseball was prohibit playing with fewer than 9 men on the field in regulation. But in a league game with Detroit, Waddell actually had his outfielders come in close and sit down on the grass to watch him strike out the side.
Bro, he was the first guy to throw an immaculate inning too.
9 straight pitch strikes.
Yeah.
All right, next is from Leslie Sincere, and the subject is the cancer is gone. Greetings, K-Dog and Disco. Have you read the news? AEW is cancer-free. In all seriousness, I'm a Punk fan. I'm disappointed with his entire run in AEW. To be fired before the All-Out pay-per-view in his hometown seems like a big Punk. While Tony's in the right to let him go, he's been nothing but trouble near the end of his run. To fire him before the pay-per-view just seems wrong. Why not after Sunday? Conan and Disco, in your opinion, what's worse, to be fired on your wedding day or to be fired the day before your homecoming event, a la All Out Chicago? Thanks in advance. That's from your boy Les. P.S. Punk may never main event WrestleMania, but he can say he's the first ever wrestler of the modern era to be fired from both big promotions. In the words of Ron Simmons, no, they had to fire him before him because you can't. It's kind of like false advertising. You're letting people think he might be on the show.
Yeah, it actually was, I think,
right.
the right time because you're giving people the heads up. Like, hey, if
Right.
you're expecting him to pop up, he's not gonna.
Right. This is guy. We had tons of. I didn't realize there was. It's freaking.
Yeah, I think you jumped way ahead, Di, probably because your mouse is goofing. But the next one's from Oslo Garrett.
No, I got. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Next one is okay. This is Oslo Garrison, subject is Chyna. There's a growing YouTube channel called Wrestle Me, where this English guy makes these wrestling documentaries. It's pretty great stuff. But recently he did one about Chyna, her crazy downward spiral in life after leaving WWE. In it, he referred to her as one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time. What? Name one good or even famous match that Chyna had. Can you? Chyna was a great character, the first of her kind, and she was weirdly hot, but to call her one of the greatest of all time? Plus, now there's another campaign online to get her a solo introduction to the WWE Hall of Fame, even though she's already inducted as a DX member. Why is Chyna so overrated? Bro, if you ask wrestling fans and not smart Mark dirt sheet readers like you, they'll tell you Chyna is one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time. This is a smart Mark reaction, like, oh, her work, oh, how many good matches did she have? Bro, wrestling fans don't care about this. They cared about how famous she was. She was a star. Definitely one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time. Would you agree with that, Conan?
Yeah, and her here's what you got to remember: her character was over, and that's just as good as if her wrestling was good, because she was the first woman to like dominate men. She was like an enforcer. I think she was the first woman in the Royal Rumble. They always used to call it, and she started DX, which was a revolutionary group, right? I remember how they used to call her. Right. I remember how they used to call her the ninth wonder of the world. Like, remember Andre was the eighth, and she was and she was like and she's the original. If you remember, she's the original mommy. What Rhea Ripley's doing now. Remember Eddie used to have that the whole thing with Eddie, and I remember that Eddie didn't want to do that gimmick with her because he felt he was playing second fiddle. And I was like, bro, just show them you can do this and they'll use it for everything else, And so she definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame by herself.
You know what's funny? Did you know this, Conan? Have you heard like people that have like were very indignant to Vince McMahon, like Shawn Michaels, like was very like you would tell
Ultimate Warrior.
You know who else was like that? Eddie Guerrero. I heard Eddie Guerrero took no shit from Vince McMahon at all. Like he would like, bro. I had people tell me like he would say, "That's stupid. Why the like he would bro?" They would give him stuff and he would go and yell at Vince and cuss him out because he said thought it like some of it was dumb. I just that's but that just shows you the type of guy Eddie was. He took this business very seriously and he was great. And he was like he spoke up for himself and he ended up becoming what? A WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So like all maybe that's what Vince McMahon means by like grabbing the brass ring.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know. It's kind of weird.
If you're willing to get in his face and show you his passion and risk being fired, that shows him that you want it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm thinking.
Right.
Yeah. Because I remember Ultimate Warrior just destroying him, and I was thinking to myself, this guy must be making. Yeah, I was there for that. Yeah.
So, give me an example. Tell me.
So what happened was so we're talking early, either 89 or 90.
89, 90. Okay.
No, it wasn't even 92. It was before that. Right. So in WWE at that time, they had the same things we had in WCW. They had those soundproof rooms that you would go into. And you would cut regional promos for house shows like that.
Yeah.
And so it was really late at night. They would cut these promos after the show. So we're talking like 1 a.m, bro. And I remember Ultimate Warrior coming out of the thing, and he was like, "This, that," and he was like, "Calm down, Warrior. It's okay." He goes, "You can do it tomorrow if you want to." And calm down. He was just like basically kissing the guy. So the guy was cutting a promo on him in front of everybody, and I was thinking to myself, "Wow, this guy must make Vince a lot of money for him to let him talk to him like that in front of everybody else." And right. Vince was like just trying to calm him down. I understand. I know you're tired. He goes, yeah.
You guys, you mentioned Eddie Guerrero, Conan. It made me just think of this question because you guys were real tight, but Eddie was kind of known for having that temper and, he didn't mind having a scrap or whatever. What's the worst kind of argument you guys ever got in? Did it ever get physical with you and Eddie Guerrero?
Oh, we always came, bro. We were always fighting. It was me, him, and a guy called Love Machine. And it was hilarious because either me and Eddie were fighting, or Eddie and Love Machine were fighting, or me and Love Machine were fighting. And this is how it would usually go. I would tell Eddie, "Tell Love Machine I said this, this, and this." And Love Machine would be right there. And Love Machine would say, "Tell Conan I said this, this, and this." And we were always fighting. We were always getting in each other's face, but we never came to blows ever. Just like me and Road Dogg. We were always fighting. And I remember one time Ron Killings, me and Road Dogg were in an airport, and I go, "Road Dogg, if he comes out here right now, I'm going to punch him in the, and then he came out and we looked at each other and we just hugged, So, I mean, yeah, we would have never come to fisticuffs.